Princess, later Queen Beatrix of the Netherlands. So we think of your family and the influence for many, many years right in this very building. She stayed in the suite during her visit to Albany back in 1959. Now, like many of the colonies across the American continent, New Netherland was founded upon the values of tolerance, diversity, and open trade. And 400 years later, those same ideals have continued to shape our state. The history between this great country and the state of New York goes back so very long. It was in 1609 when Henry Hudson found his way to this great city, creating Albany. As Henry Hudson traveled up the mighty river, he journeyed across the Haudenosaunee and the Algonquin homelands and interacted with the indigenous peoples, and they finally made their way here. 15 years later, in 1624, at the southern tip of Manhattan, New Amsterdam was formally established. Little did those Dutch settlers know that they were founding what would become one of the greatest cities on earth, New York City. Words about his visit. Thank you.
Governor Opel, first gentleman, ladies and gentlemen, it's a very special experience to be here as your guests in New York State. 400 years after the first Dutch colonists arrived on the ship New Netherland, a group of no more than 30 families, some of whom settled Governor's Island, while a handful of others traveled on what is now the city of Albany. A lot has been written about the influence of the Dutch had on this area, and often in quite flattering terms. Historian Russell Shortall described the 17th century Dutch Republic as the most progressive and culturally diverse society in Europe. And according to him, the colony established here was characterized by freedoms of thought, belief, and trade. Their entire way of life was turned upside down, and their freedoms were violated. Today, their descendants are rightly asking that attention be paid to their story. This visit, 400 years after the New Netherlands reached these shores, gives us an opportunity to examine our shared history in all openness and honesty, and to strengthen our cooperation in those areas that mean so much to the state of New York and the Kingdom of the Netherlands.
Manhattan, Amsterdam there, the colony of the Netherlands. But that shared history is only important if we also have a shared future. And that's one of the values we share, but also the business opportunities the state of New York and the Kingdom of the Netherlands have together. 65,000 jobs, I think, or sort of something like that, are already dependent on Dutch. So I mean, in that sense, usually through our pension funds, which have a lot of money to spend.
And hydroelectric power.
Of course.
We're doing that in Niagara Falls, and also just reached an agreement with
To Queen Maxima and myself, this feels a bit like coming home, because the can-do mentality here at NY Creates reminds us strongly of the Netherlands. It's fascinating to see how, here in Albany, you have developed a fertile ecosystem for groundbreaking innovation. This city is not only one of America's primary technology center, but one of the world's, too. This is the result of many decades of hard work. But above all, it's the result of joining forces, of putting together the brightest people, the best facilities, and the boldest ideas.
You don't hear them nowadays.
Can you back up a little bit?
Thank you. Good old Kodak time. Change the film.
Of food, and one thing that's very important to me is being vegan. It reduces massive land footprints and methane from cattle. A solution is gardens. I personally have a garden at home, and it allows me to vape.
You know, you cannot divide us on which bin to use. So it would be wonderful if you could also sort of be part of it too.
Investing in. And
can you tell me more about how you got solar panels?
Plus that the cost of gas.
Yes.
Gas is extremely low compared to. You know what it costs in Europe, in our part of the world? $8, $9, $10 per. Yeah, it's something. I mean, I don't know exactly. I mean, the gallon is. I take about four liters to a gallon. It's a bit more than that. But so ballpark is somewhere between around $10 per gallon.
wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what is a gallon here now?
It's like
$3.50.
it varies depending on where you go. It's like $3 to $4.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, that is another incentive to go to EV or something else. Huh?
Yeah.
So thank you very much, and please keep giving it up.
That I witnessed from our economic roundtable here this afternoon, where we had leaders from Dutch companies who are profoundly changing the course of history all over the globe, but particularly here in New York. Companies that are helping us lead the way, because if we do this together, we can create the blueprint for the rest of the world in this space, and that's something I'm challenging all of us to do. Right, some time meeting with our Lieutenant Governor first thing in the morning. I appreciate him being out there. But also the conversation at the Skylar Mansion about what we're doing with young people and helping people understand. It belonged to Hamilton's father-in-law. Amber Hamilton had his wedding to the Elizabeth Schuyler in 1870. So.
Governor Hochul, first gentlemen, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, what a privilege it is to conclude this special day here in Albany with all of you in this iconic location. It's been the New York Governor's official residence, and for the past 3 years it has been your home, Governor Hochul, as the first woman to hold this office. My wife and I are regular visitors to New York State, but we don't often have the chance to speak to so many different people on one single visit, to explore so many different topics. Today, for example, and the Governor alluded to it, we met with young people from the city to discuss their concerns about climate change and their views to the future. And the more perspectives we hear, the clearer it becomes that all these stories are interconnected. You can't have a sustainable, healthy future without strong, innovative economy and a free, open society with a place for everyone.